Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It's October the 24th. This will be our chart lesson for today. This is what I saw. It looks like, it could end up just being a big trading range day, but regardless, we had a nice trend on the way down. We had a break of the channel, an attempt to retest that trapped some people and then went higher. Um, and then we kind of had this channel working up, and I'm guessing that I didn't even put this on there. It looks like it's probably another equal distance, maybe even off of these. But I saw this as a channel working up with a median line, the break, the retest, and we'll see what we do from here. But this looks like, almost another equal distance here. So we may continue higher. I don't know. We'll just have to kind of see. We've been in a trading range. Notice we broke out the low, failed, broke out the high, failed. The bias is kind of up at this point since the open almost. So I'd be more hesitant to sell than I would be to buy. Although if this channel is correct here, we do have a break and a new high, so it wouldn't surprise me if we come lower again. We'll just have to kind of see how this plays out. But let's go back and talk about the trades. But that's what I saw early was this channel coming down. This is more of a median line. Then we had the break, the move to attempt to retest the low, and just found there's strong support right across here. And notice that's really where the overnight low is right there. Comes straight across there. And originally I was looking, here's the resistance from yesterday. We found support there, and so I was looking for maybe a bounce there, but you see we didn't. We kind of got hung in this little range and then broke higher and kind of moved and up and then got in this tight range here. So, but that's what I've been looking at today. I've seen a few charts. Been kind of quiet today, which is good. I don't mind. I've had a few questions, and sometimes, one guy sent me a question. I told him to please wait for the video. But the only reason I did that, I want you to make sure you understood it wasn't because I didn't want to answer your question, but it was just too complicated to explain all that, what I was seeing in an email. I was still trading at the time too. So don't forget that I'm trading during, generally from 7 till noon, or trying to, unless I'm done early. I try to read emails. When we get stuck in something like this, I'll read some emails, or if I'm waiting on a setup, like I was waiting on prices to come up here and give me a setup to go short for a retest. And so I'm just kind of waiting and being patient. And so sometimes I'll read some emails, but a lot of times I don't have time, in the mornings. I want to answer as many as I can, but I don't have time to go into any great details about complicated explanations or whatever. So hopefully that makes sense. I wasn't trying to, avoid your question or whatever, but generally most of the questions people ask get answered in the video later in the day. And I'm going to go ahead, just so I don't forget to talk about this, I'm going to mark all this right here in lavender. I think that's the right color. It's close enough, I guess, but I don't want to confuse anybody, so we'll make it the right color. But I'll talk about that too, and I don't want to forget. Sometimes I'll have it in my head to talk about something that happens, and then I get to talking about the video and thinking about something else, and then suddenly, okay, I had a slight interruption there. But anyway, let's talk about the trades, and we'll go from there. There weren't a lot of trades today. The first one that I saw after I came in and I thought it was really aggressive. It's a breakout. Notice that you kind of got a little range here. You broke lower, but you got support here too. So but it is a breakout pullback here. And we already kind of had a measured move there. So I thought it was real risky, but I was looking at this line here, and it looks like it could have been a spike in channel there. And so that's what I was looking at. It's right off that line. We kind of came off that line. It's a bearish bar. it looks similar to a failed second entry long. So it was aggressive, but I thought it was worth marking anyway. You would have had to ride back this pull back a little bit, unless you used a limit order, which you probably should have here because it didn't, it's kind of a bullet. There's some overlap, and it's really aggressive trade, but I liked it for whatever reason, and as long as you kept your stop where you're supposed to. And then you got another chance here. This one was a failed second entry long, so you could go short with the stop right there. You had to ride back a little bit of pullback, but it worked on out. And then you were down to here, and you break lower, and you get another breakout pullback short again. But this one, then you got this line confirmed here a few times, looking really good, and so I like that trade too. Um, this one you might have used a limit order. I can't remember if it would have come back and stop. And if I would just use a stop here on this trade, and you know, whether or not it comes back, I can't remember. Somebody actually responded in one of the comments on one of the videos that I described one that I thought came back, and they said maybe it didn't. And it's hard to remember sometimes when you get to thinking back. Sometimes certain areas that look the same, they all run together by the end of the day. So obviously it has to, if you use a limit order, it has to come back. And sometimes it may even look like it in the price action, and it didn't come back. Maybe it bounced around in here before it broke lower, and whether or not it would have snapped back quick enough. But a lot of times it'll look like it takes on off, but it'll hesitate just a second after it breaks lower, and it may bounce back and forth for a few minutes, for a few seconds or whatever, and then just take off. So it's very rare that it just snaps, just one bar closes and the next one opens. Only on really strong moves. Like here's one. You can see that little gap right there. It closed and it opened immediately right there, and it had to come all the way back. But generally it'll come back and fill those, except on the really strongest moves. And sometimes you'll see them going up. Like here's one. It closed on its high. It opened right there, but look, it came back a couple of ticks. So you can tell for certain that one that you could have gotten filled on a limit order at least to right here on that trade. And would have broke higher and then started coming back, drop a limit order in there, and you could have got filled and maybe got out of that trade. I don't like that trade because of all the overlap and because it's a little trading range, and it could have easily just got one tick there and then turned down. But it did work. And if you used the limit order and got in way down here and you had enough room to get out, then maybe you take that. So looking back at it like that, you might have taken that trade, but I'd already pretty much was done almost by then, and I wasn't going to, I'm not going to take my last trade of the day on a risky trade. I'd rather wait on something really nice like this right here. And you can see that was a quick, easy move. But anyway, I like this for a short. This one's good enough because it's coming off of this line here. If you saw this little line, and notice if you pull this up, you can see that that's fitting right there. So at first I thought maybe this is a spike in channel, but after the fact, if you draw this down here and you see we bounced there, and then we came on down and bounced again, and then it all fits better like this. Then we get the turn down right here. I drew this one in lavender because I wanted to talk about it. There is a failed, it's not really a failed second entry short, but notice that you went down once, you pulled back, and then you go again. It's like three little pushes right down here at this low, overnight low. A real aggressive trader might have thought about going long there, but when it didn't break above this bar, I really didn't like going long there anyway, because this is pretty bearish coming down through there. And there's been no break of either this line or this line. No matter how you're seeing it, there's really been no break yet. It could have been a spike in a channel like I showed you earlier, and you can see that. And so you could have seen it a couple of different ways. And my guess is that traders often do see it slightly different and end up at the same place. You don't have to get these lines exactly like mine, but they got to be close. And you can see that that's holding prices neatly right down through there. And even when we came back, look how it found resistance there for a minute. And that's why you got to be real careful about going long right there, because there's not much room to get out. And so that's why I didn't like that one, but I felt like it was worth talking about. And if you did take it, you see it worked. Um, but I wasn't 100% convinced that we had a bigger channel and this was a median line yet until we turned down right there off that line again. Um, and then tested this low and made a little higher low right where the overnight was. And then look at that reversal. It broke lower first, went out the high side. You could have actually gone long on a stop right there because it's kind of like a trap. Um, and when that thing took off, that was a nice trade right there. And, you know, that'll make you most of your money for the day. But let's talk about this one first. This short right here. Again, this is aggressive because this is a terrible setup. The trend is down. You didn't really have much confirmation of this line right here. I do believe it's valid now though, because it did turn down there. But usually what you want to do is see multiple touches. You want to see confirmation, not just two touches. You know, if it come back here and touched again and then turned down, then you got three touches of it. So you got your two touches that show you the line, and then your third touch that kind of confirms it. Kind of like this right here. Notice you got two touches, and then you come back and it touches it again and bounce. That kind of confirms it for you. That's what you're looking for. But you got all this overlap, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars really that are overlapping there. But there is a second entry short right in here. Notice this, you got a new low, you're coming up, first entry short, kind of a pull back, and it couldn't get above the trend line. And then a second entry short when it broke right there below that bar. Let me make it a little bigger so maybe it's easier to see. But you can see that, and it broke right below that. That's a second entry short. I would definitely use a limit order, and you can see it came back, and you could have gotten filled at least 2 ticks back into that bar. But I think even if you used a stop, it would have worked. But I just think it was a real aggressive trade. Stop would have got you in at 41.75, and you can see it went to 40, got just enough to get you out, and then it reversed. And look at that reversal. So chance to go long there. I really don't have, I didn't mark that one. I really wanted to mark that one in green, and I forgot to, because that was, let me back out again now. Because I really like that trade. That's a reversal. Notice the double bottom, the little failed break. You make a higher. Notice how, this is your clue. Notice how all of these highs are lower, 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 and then suddenly you get one that's higher. And then you come down and you make a higher low, and look at that reversal bar. I meant to draw that one in green, and I just forgot it. It's a little aggressive because there's been no break of a possible trend line yet. But that's a reversal type pattern, so you figure you're going to at least get another leg up that's equal. And if you draw this, you can see we actually got a little more, and it actually made a little more. But notice how it started finding resistance right in there. That's because the smart traders were selling out at a measured move there, especially when they start to see it, you know, finding resistance there. And then it actually made a little trap there. Notice how it broke lower, went higher. But hopefully you saw this line right here. I originally had it a little steeper. I had mine originally kind of like that. And you can see you know, there's no reason to try to go long there because of that line. And plus you're looking for a retest, and that's a great reversal bar right there. You know, you might have even thought about going short there because of the trap, but I think it was better to wait and, you know, just put a stop right there and be done with it and look at it go. Easy trade. It's 2 legs up. You know there's probably going to be a retest. It's the first break of this channel if you were seeing the channel right. A lot of reasons to think about going short right there. But then look, we find support again right in this same place. I think it's too risky to go long. This is basically a double bottom with a little 1-tick trap. I'll be honest with you, I would rather see, most people like to see those perfect double bottoms and double tops. You know, when you see one with that one little tick to me, that's a stronger trap, uh, double bottom or double top, because it traps so many traders. Like, look right here, you had this, and then it breaks one tick lower, and then they did it again. And what happens is once they get it above this last high, that's where most of the stops are. It surges because it hits all those stops. And that's what causes it. They trap all these traders down here and get some new shorts, and then all the ones that were already short realize, hey, we're fixing to make uh, a higher high here, and that's generally the first sign you may have a reversal. It doesn't mean you're going to get one, but it's just the first clue. And we've been seeing that mostly at the highs lately. Um, Notice how we suddenly come down and make a lower. You're making higher highs all the way up, and then suddenly you make a lower. I'm sorry, yeah, higher lows all the way up, and then suddenly you make a lower low, and then you come up and you make a lower high, and then boom, off it goes. But that's the first alert that people are saying, hey, be looking for a possibility that this thing may reverse. And so you got to learn what those reversal patterns look like. And as you see this more and more, but when they come back and test it a second time, then hey, this is strong support. You don't want to, you want to wait on the second entry. And notice this made a little lower low. You might have thought, I'm guessing that a lot of people pictured that it looks close enough to a second entry, so they took it, and you see it would have worked. But, in a downtrend and we hadn't made a new low, I would have waited. Now you get a higher low here, so I like that one, and look, it shot on up. And then you kind of got in this stuff. This is just a little two-legged pullback. You should have drawn your trend line right up through here. And by this time, I had this line right here, and I just copied it and moved it over, and you can see that. So you had this line way in advance. You can see it fits right in there. Somehow got it a little different angle there, but it's basically the same line. I don't know if I changed that one or the other one. Somewhere I adjusted, see that one matches that one, so there we go. And it's just a median line. It looks just like this. It's just a reversal of this. And kind of a median line right up through there, and you can see that. And you just drag it on down, and that you got two touches and then a third touch. It's not a perfect bar, but it closed so close to the high that could have easily ticked either way. What you want to do here is probably use a limit order, and you can see it would have come back and filled you. I like to just use a stop right there because that's two legs back to the trend line, the EMA. Nothing could close. Notice how it couldn't close below the EMA. It's a second entry long. Two legs back. There's a good chance we're going to get another leg, at least like this one, if not like this one. And from here to here is a perfect measured move from here to here, if I remember right. Let me just double check it. We got time. You can see that's your first leg. There's two legs in that first leg, though, so don't let that confuse you. You can see that's a perfect measured move, and it backs up. And that's another reason I didn't like going long right there. And you see it didn't go far before it starts correcting. And you can see we fell out the low side, we fell out the high side, and we're trying to go higher, but we're still inside that little trading range right there. So you got to be careful trading those. And then the only other trade, there's just no room to enter in here. You don't want to be going short here because, we're trending up now and we're inside this channel. You finally get a little break here, a move to a new high. So it wouldn't surprise me if we go lower, but it also wouldn't surprise me if we don't go higher here because we've been moving up and we got a failed breakout both sides trying to go higher. The bias is up now. You can see the EMA is pointing up. Most of the price, we're kind of starting to get on both sides of the EMA again, though, and that's usually a good sign. Notice we're above, then we're below, we're above, we're below, we're above. So it's starting to swing back and forth. So it's getting more rangy looking again, where earlier it was not. It was mostly down and then mostly up until right in here. So it took a little work to get back above, but really from this point on, we've been above until we finally broke lower here. So I tell people, use that EMA to give you clues because, if prices are mostly below it, you're probably in a downtrend. If they're mostly above it, you're probably in an uptrend. And if they're swinging from side to side like this, then you're in a trading range or congestion, and it probably means that prices are either just absorbing the move down, you've kind of found equilibrium, or they're building up momentum because they're going to reverse. One of the two is about to happen. And, you got to look at all the other clues along with it to see. And there may even be, now that we've got some more price action going here, there might even be a bigger channel here. And that does look pretty doggone good right there. I'm guessing we probably got a bigger channel here. Maybe it's more like that. Like that right there. So yeah, I'd be real leery, and there's probably a median line in there as well. So that, that's it right there. You can see that. That's just plain as day. And that's why I'm always I can spot this stuff with a blind eye almost. But you can see I was looking at it a totally different way and getting to the same conclusion that you could get by drawing this. And now that I have that on there, I think that's much more valid than these others. These others are maybe more of a minor. But don't let anybody tell you that there's not something to market geometry, because there is. And if you grow to understand it, it really helps. And so you can see that this prices are, they're really, both of these lines, the ones going up in here are working, and the ones coming across. But I'm thinking that's more of a channel right there, and that looks real valid. Just move this stuff out of the way so it doesn't clutter it up. But you can see that, hopefully, that I believe that's to be the channel now. So we're probably headed down to test the low side again, be my guess. But you can't deny there's a trading range right there, and you can't deny that these other lines are not coming into play as well, because they are. And you can see them as I put them in there. And they're all pretty much equal distance. So if anybody ever tells you that there's no such thing as market geometry, pull out a chart and show them different, because it is. And I don't know. I don't understand how it happens, or why, if it's because traders see this stuff and over time that it's self-fulfilling, or if there's really something that we just don't understand, that the market moves geometrically. So doesn't really matter. All we know is that it's there. It's just like the news. Don't try to figure the news out, because you never will. Just but anyway, I even forgot where we were. I was just talking about market geometry. We've pretty much gone through all the trades I saw here. And that's it for today. Today's Thursday. It's been a pretty good week. Even though we hadn't been getting those, I love those big trend days, and most people do, because they're easier to trade for most people. But you'd be surprised at how many people actually lose money on those huge trend days, like that right there. People will lose money because they're constantly trying to sell that all the way up, and then they finally wait till here to decide to buy, and guess what? And then they get burned the other direction. But it's amazing how, and then they'll see this trend and they'll try to buy it all the way down. They're always trying to catch the lows. And that's what range trading will do to you, because that's what you have to do on range days, is you have to buy the lows and sell the highs. And we'll have a week or two of days like this, and so they'll get hung up in the mode of buying low and selling high, and then they'll get the trend like this, and they'll try to sell this thing thinking they found the high all the way up, when all they got to do is just buy. Look at that move there. You could have bought anywhere on the way up except maybe this last swing, and you would have made money. Let me just see. If you'd have bought that last swing, 53.50, and it would have been a 4-tick failure and would have ended as a doji and kind of turned down, you probably would have known to exit, and you may not have lost anything. But if you just stay with the trend, most of the times you improve your odds so much. And when it's choppy like this is when you'll get people that will try to stay with the trend, and every time they buy, it backs up and stops them out and then goes higher. Just like right here, there were probably a lot of people buying, and then it runs down, it stops them all out, and then they run through all the stops, and it bounces right off that support right up through there, or right off this equal distance stuff across through here. Um, why the market does that, if you understand what's going on, it makes more sense. But until you understand what's happening, you got to be able to put yourself in the mind of the traders, and then you'll kind of see what's happening, and then you'll get it. And looking at this, we may not be at the high yet. I kind of like it right there, but it may be right there, and that looks better across the bottom as well and more equal. So we may go higher before we go lower. So you got to just stay out of these kind of midpoints. But you got this line right here catching it, and it's trying to keep prices from coming down. And you see it took a little while to work out of that one right there. But the biggest thing is we got this trading range across here. So you just got to be careful trading inside that thing. So I hope all that, hopefully you learned something today looking at this stuff. But always, reevaluate your lines, because even though I like this one, I think there's a channel going this way, and you got your lows here, and and this is what you want to be doing, is buying down here. You got to be careful selling, because see, if you'd sold the high, look what would happen. It would have eventually worked out, but you don't know that it don't break higher first. And so, follow these trend channels and stay with them. And wait on, most of the time you're going to have to wait on prices to come down here to this strong support, and that's where you want to buy. And I hope that makes sense to you. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up and call it a day. We'll be back to do this tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Hopefully we can end the week on a good note. I hope you've had a good trading week, and hopefully we can wrap it all up tomorrow and with a profitable week. So I'm going to call it a day, and I'll be back to do it again tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.